Dr. Mufti Yusuf Sultan Hafizahullah, Mufti Abdullah Masoom as well, to receive Dr. Muhammad Imran Ashraf Usmani Hafizahullah with honorary crest, please. As a token of honor, on behalf of IFA Consultancy and Other Advisory Limited, honorary crest is to be delivered and handed over to Dr. Muhammad Imran Ashraf Usmani Hafizahullah. Our distinguished guest is received with a token of honor by handing over the crest. Thank you so much.
Now, this is the time for letter of intent, LOI signing ceremony. INSEAD University and IFA Consultancy, between INSEAD University and IFA Consultancy. Ladies and gentlemen, we begin with the signing of the letter of intent between INSEAD University Malaysia and IFA Consultancy Limited Bangladesh. May I invite to the stage Associate Professor Dr. Muhammad Iskandar Shah Muhammad Rashid, CEO, ISRO International Consulting in CF Group, and Dr. Mufti Yusuf Sultan, co-founder and director, IFA Consultancy. Please. Photographers are requested to take note, please. Please capture the moments.
Okay, the fifth one, MOU signing between Adal Advisory and Sinbad Capital LLC USA. We are ready to go for the signing MOU between Adal Advisory and Sinbad Capital LLC of USA. Our next signing ceremony is the MOU between Adal Advisory and Sinbad Capital LLC of USA. May I invite to the stage Dr. Mufti Yusuf Sultan once again, Honorable Co-Founder and CEO of Adal Advisory. Okay. Isaac. Okay. Okay. We are to jump to the next panel session. This is the third panel of this day. কই? কোথায়? Sorry, we have another announcement. Special dignitary speech to be held right this moment. We welcome once again everyone. We have the honor of hearing from Mr. Wajid Hassan Shah, Executive President of BICM. Sir, please share your insights. Mr. Wajid Hassan Shah, Honorable Executive President of BICM, this floor is yours. Please.
Assalamu alaikum. My apologies. I have a cold. A very good afternoon. I have the pleasure of being here. Thank you for the invitation. I usually have the vote of thanks or the concluding speech before lunch, so I can keep it short. Unfortunately, now I have to try to keep you all awake after lunch. So let's see how I can try to do that. Have you heard of the name Willie Sutton? Those who are in accounting probably have. There's a Willie Sutton rule in managerial accounting. Now, why am I mentioning this name? Is this someone famous or rather infamous in this instance? Willie Sutton was a bank robber, and he was asked, why rob banks? And he had a very good answer, because that's where the money is. And in our country, we've seen what's happened in the recent past. If we talk about the Islamic banks, especially Islami Bank, which was considered the best bank in Bangladesh, it attracted a lot of attention because that's where the money was. And unfortunately, with direct or indirect, whatever you want to say, government patronage, the bank was taken over, and it was one of the best banks in Bangladesh, perhaps in the world, was made into one of the worst banks. And they're still trying to recover. The good news is that the recovery is going on under the current Bangladesh Bank leadership. A lot of change has been made, but we have a long, long way to go. Now, bank deposits there was a lack of confidence in the banking sector, which is why Bangladesh has been merging 5 Islamic banks into one, the Shomlit Islamic Bank. But the good news is bank deposits grew by almost 10% year on year at the end of September 2025, which is the second highest growth rate in the past year and a half. So, as I mentioned, the recovery is starting. Now, why am I talking about banks? I represent the Bangladesh Institute of Capital Market as the executive president. I should be talking about the capital market. Well, the financial sector is interrelated. That's the reality, whether we like it or not. If banks were in trouble, the capital market will see a reflection of that, and it has. I haven't seen the latest index update, but on Thursday, the Dhaka Stock Exchange main index lost 122 points, which was almost 2.5 percentage points of the index. If I mention what happened in October, the Dhaka Stock Exchange emerged as the world's worst performing market in October 2025. In comparison, the US S&P 500 rose 2.67% in October. India's Sensex advanced 4.2+%. Sri Lanka's CSE All Share gained 4.71%. And surprisingly, South Korea's KOSPI soared a staggering 18.2%. The second worst performer in the region, or I believe globally, was the Pakistan stock, Karachi 100. But we were first in the wrong way. Till the last trading day, the last full trading day, November 13th, the benchmark index of the Dhaka Stock Exchange suffered significantly, lost almost 8%. Now, why am I mentioning all this negative news? Well, after darkness, there always comes light. When we talk about daylight, sunrise, we know the time. When it comes to the capital market, we don't know the exact time when things are going to turn around, but they're very close to a turnaround. At the Bangladesh Institute of Capital Market, which was founded in 2008, but we recruited our first faculty in 2014, and I actually only joined last month. We are the national institute, the only government-sponsored institute for this purpose of educational exchange, research, training. We're trying to do our job. Now, we can impart training, but whether or not the training is utilized in the real world depends on the investors. And I know this may be a predominantly Bangladeshi audience, but there are internationally recognized people here as well. If I were a betting person, unfortunately I'm not, or maybe fortunately I'm not, since I'm a Muslim, the reality is this is a very good time to think about investing here. If we look at our current situation of accounts that are related to the stock market, which are called beneficiary owner accounts, or in short, BO accounts, the country has 1.2 million BO accounts that are supposedly currently active, and that excludes double counting. In a country of 170 million, that's, if I divide 1.2 million by 170 million, the figure I get is 0.007. So 0.7% of the people in this country are investing in the stock capital market. In countries like the US, almost 2/3 of the population have investments in the stock market. So there is significant scope for growth. And if we turn to the issue of Islamic capital market, only 4 of the 36 listed mutual funds are Shariah based, and only 14 of the 99 open-ended mutual funds in Bangladesh are based on Shariah. We have some Islamic bonds, we have Sukuk, and there are 82 insurance companies, only 14 of which are takaful operators. 9 of those are listed, so there is significant scope for Islamic capital market financing for having a lot of people involved. Another issue that comes to mind is, if I look at this audience, it's predominantly male. There are females here, but there's also scope to include, have more gender parity in the market. So I invite you to know more about our capital market. I invite everyone here to visit BICM, and we are always welcoming. We can have programs at your institution, or you can come to our institute and we can organize programs for you. We have investor education programs which are free of charge, but we also have certificate courses, a postgraduate diploma, and as well as a Master of Applied Finance and Capital Market. So I believe we're short on time and already behind schedule. So with that, I'd like to invite everyone to be involved in our capital market and try to make a more Islamic capital market. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your very nice insight on the issues. Thank you very much. Sukuk and Islamic mutual funds represent critical instruments for mobilizing capital in Sharia compliant ways.
Okay, we are about to start our third keynote presentation of this day. To explore the challenges and opportunities in this space, we welcome Mr. Abdullah Al Faisal, CEO of CBC Asset Management, to deliver the keynote on the issue Sukuk and mutual funds, challenges and way forward. Please proceed.
Assalamu alaikum and good afternoon, distinguished guests, esteemed corporate leaders, respected regulators, and fellow professionals. It's a profound honor to address you at the very first Islamic Finance Summit in Bangladesh. This is not merely an event, it's a turning point, a moment where we choose the future direction of Islamic finance in our nation. Allow me to begin with a simple comparison of two eras. Imagine a businessman in Dhaka just 30 years ago. His financial universe was limited to physical assets like land, shop, and gold. If he wanted to build a factory in Islamic compliance way or Sharia compliance way, the process was slow, bespoke, and extremely difficult to scale. Financing large-scale infrastructure projects practically unreachable. Now look at the children today. They can raise capital through Sukuk to build a factory. The public, people like us in this room can co-invest in this Sukuk and invest in water supply, renewable energy, and logistic infrastructure. So this is not an incremental change. This is a foundational transformation. As we stand today at a critical inflection point, the question is no longer Islamic finance will grow. The question is, will we together architect the future of Bangladesh? So let's begin with the global standard. Islamic finance today is 4.9 trillion market. In last 6 years, it goes by 13% CAGR, where the global financial market wasn't shrink, the global Islamic financial market growth. Banking segment, next please. Next. So if we look at the chart, Islamic finance globally is predominated by Islamic banks. 70% of the total global Islamic financial asset comprises Islamic banks, and then Sukuk comes, and the rest is comprises by Islamic fund, other IFAs like financial institutions, and takaful. So next please. So if we look at the top countries by Islamic financial asset, Iran is the first country, or Iran is the major Islamic financial market, followed by Saudi Arabia and Malaysia. But unfortunately, as a fourth populous country in the world, Bangladesh is no more in the top 10 chart. So that's now let's us examine the state of Islamic finance in Bangladesh. Please go to the next slides. Next slides. Next. So predominantly the Sukuk are issued by the quasi-government, then government, and followed by financial institution, then corporate. In world market, if we look into the Sukuk, maximum Sukuk are issued as Sukuk al-Wakala. But unfortunately in Bangladesh, all of the Sukuk are in Ijara form or Istisna form, and financial institutions go with the Mudaraba form for their capital requirements. However, globally, Sukuk al-Wakala, hybrid Sukuk are predominantly make the most of the market. Please go to the next slide. Next. So if we look into the Bangladesh market, currently Bangladesh total Islamic financial market is around $42 billion. And Islamic finance comprises 89% of the total market. Sukuk actually start its operation in 2020 whenever Bangladesh Bank gives a guideline. But after that, we have see significant issuance of Sukuk from Bangladesh Bank. Already 6 Sukuk has been issued by Bangladesh Bank, and there is a 24,000 crore taka outstanding Sukuk in Bangladesh, and the government is planning for another Sukuk next month of another 2,500 crore taka. So can we go to the next slide? So this is the picture of Bangladesh Bank issuance of Sukuk. Another short-term bond is issued by Bangladesh Bank that is known as Bangladesh Government Islamic Investment Bond. There is another 12,000 plus crore taka outstanding, BGIIB. These are issued for 3 months or 6 months. Mainly banks are the investor of this sort of investment bonds. Can we go to the next 2 slide? Next. Okay. So, however, in private sector, we see there is not that much interest from the corporates for Sukuk, but we can build our infrastructure, we can build our power, we can build our energy, we can go for clean energy with this sort of Sukuk. If I show you, recently Bangladesh BPDB come up with a merchant power producer plan, but people are thinking these are not bankable, but we can make it easily with the SPV structure. We can reduce the bankruptcy risks and increase the Sukuk market as well, issuance of Sukuk for this MPP project as well. We can go for our real estate. The real estate are not getting finance. There are a lot of taxations and other stuff, and the market is already in downtrend, but through issuance of Sukuk, we can give fund to the real estate as well. For the manufacturing, we see there are some expansion in pharmaceutical sector, some expansion in textile and RMG sector that can be also funded by Sukuk. So can we go to the next slide? So already in Bangladesh, just 2 Sukuk has been issued. Both are issued within Istisna and Izara module, that is hybrid model. So we have 3,300 crore taka Sukuk issuance in private sector. Can we go to the next slide, please? For the capital, for the bank actually issue the Mudaraba bond, that is huge actually, 11,000 crore taka worth of Mudaraba perpetual bond and Mudaraba subordinated bond issued in Bangladesh. Can we go to the next slide? In Islamic fund, if we look into the market, in open-end fund, there is around 340 crore taka of asset under management under the open-end fund, and only 14 fund is in the market. Can you go to the next slide? So in closed-end fund, we have 320 crore taka another asset under management, but unfortunately, if we think our total asset under management, only 7% is Islamic funds. And if you also consider the takaful market or Islamic insurance market, it is only 7% of the total premium collection last year. So if we look into Bangladesh, despite majority of the people are Muslims and there is a huge demand, but this market cannot develop. There are some reasons why the market cannot develop, because if we look into the market, there are some issues like in bank use, we see a lot of looted has been done in last 4 or 5 years, especially the Islamic banking one. In takaful, we see a lot of life insurance fund that is called life fund has been utilized by the board in other purpose, and that cannot be given to the proper persons. Can we go to the next some slides, because I have some crucial points to discuss. I will be covering the Sukuk specially, and I do not have time to how to develop the Islamic fund market as well. So just change the slides. So we have some recommendation to Bangladesh Bank, to BSEC, and to NBR to popularize the Sukuk. First of all, I would like to draw the attention of Bangladesh Security Exchange Commission. If we like to bring more people to invest in Sukuk, we have to give some benefits to the investor, to the issuers. Sukuk issuance is very long, lengthy process. It takes around 1 year or more to issue a Sukuk. The cost is very high. If you would like to issue a Sukuk, you have to pay around 0.6% issuance cost. Only BSEC takes 0.1% for the Sukuk issuance. So if you issue a 500 crore taka Sukuk, you have to give 50 lakhs taka payment to BSEC only. You have to pay to the SPB, the trustee, and the other stakeholder as well, the issue manager. So the process is long, and the cost is high. So the issuer, usually the corporates do not come into the market. They can go to the banks and take fund within 2-3 months, but by issuing Sukuk, it takes around 1 year plus, and there is a lot of cost involved. And there are some other issues like the asset-backed securities rules that has been incorporated in 2004 need to be modified or need to be updated as well for Sukuk market development. From Bangladesh Bank, we have some issues we are facing. If any bank want to invest in a Sukuk, they have to take permission from Bangladesh Bank. But if a bank want to invest in bond, they do not need to take any sort of permission. So by giving two circular in 2015 and 2019, we have to take approval from BSEC, we have to take approval from Bangladesh Bank. There are a lot of approvals. So the issuance process and the investment process is lengthy. So it's not rational for the issuer to go for this sort of Sukuk. And if we look into the GTF fund and TDF fund, you know about this fund, the Green Climate Fund and the TDF, the Technology Development Fund. This fund cannot invest in Sukuk, but there should be an option to invest in this sort of instrument. Otherwise, we cannot bring the cheap money or the low-cost fund into the Sukuk. So there should be a provision. There should be a provision for this Sukuk investment in GTF and in TDF fund as well. From NVR, if we look into the market, usually Sukuk is bankruptcy free. But unfortunately, in Bangladesh, we cannot say Sukuk is bankruptcy free because you cannot take the land and building into the SPB. Why? If you bring the land and building into the SPB, you have to pay stamp duty of 1%, registration fee of 1%, transfer tax of 2%. Despite there are some tax exemption, like there is no capital gain for the SPB, or there is no income gain for the SPB that has been already exempted by NBR. But the key concern is that if you would like to issue a Sukuk, you have to pay 4% tax upfront, and if you would like to sell the asset from the SPB, you have to pay another 4%. So there is 8% additional cost if you'd like to make a proper Sukuk. So no one is going to make a proper Sukuk because the immovable asset cannot be transferred to the SPB. That has to be resolved as early as possible if you'd like to have a very good Sukuk market or a very good market in Bangladesh. In Islamic mutual fund, if we look into the funds, whenever they disburse the dividend, they have to pay, the investor have to pay dividend based on their tax rate. If your tax rate is 30%, your surcharge is another 10%, then you have to pay 30% tax. But for corporates, if they invest, their dividend tax rate is 20%. So the investor or the high net worth individual do not come into this market. So that has to be resolved as well. And in Islamic mutual fund, we have some other issues. We cannot invest in banks, and most of the banks are, in Islamic banks, they are distressed now. The takaful, there are no that much good corporate we can invest on. So the Islamic fund is not getting momentum. If you'd like to bring the Islamic fund in place, then we have to issue Sukuk, and we have to have the real estate investment trust. This is also SPB, asset backed, that has the tax is there also. So these need to be resolved as early as possible to make this market a very good one. Sorry, I cannot give the full presentation because of the time limitation. We have some interesting slide. How can we actually develop the Sukuk market in Bangladesh? Thanks for your patience. Allāh Hafiz.
Thank you very much for your explanations. Now this is the time for panel discussion 3. Capital markets are engines of economic growth. Islamic capital markets hold immense potential for attracting domestic and foreign investment.
Our third panel discussion on Islamic capital markets and investment, Sukuk, funds, tax challenges and FDI opportunities. Sometimes earlier we have listened to Sukuk in brief. Now this is elaborate discussion. And this session is going to be moderated by Mr. Asif Khan, Honorable Chairman of is AMC and President of CFA Society Bangladesh. We have a group of panelists in this session, including Professor M. Kabir Hassan, University of New Orleans, Mr. Mr. Istiqmal Hussain, Honorable Director of Debt Management, Bangladesh Bank, Dr. Muhammad Iskandar Shah Muhammad Rashid, Honorable Professor Dr. Habibullah Zakaria, Mr. Saiful Islam, President of DBA and Director at BRAC EPL, Mr. Qazi Mashukul Haq, Managing Director at IDLC Asset Management, Mufti Abdullah Masum, Founder of IFA Consultancy.
Moderator and panelist, please take the stage. Dear sir, please take the stage.
Okay. Okay. ডিয়ার হল, আমি আপনাদের কাছ থেকে একটা রিপ্লাই চাই। আমরা একটা গণভোট নিতে চাই। গণভোট হবে হ্যাঁ অথবা না এর উপরে। যেহেতু আমরা ইতিপূর্বেই দেখেছি এখন আসলে ড্রাউজি টাইম চলছে, লাঞ্চ আমরা নিয়েছি, অনেকেই ঘুম পাচ্ছে। তাছাড়া আমরা ইংলিশে কথা শুনতে এতটা বেশি অভ্যস্ত নই। যেহেতু এখানে ম্যাক্সিমাম অডিয়েন্স সোফার আই নো, আমরা বাংলাদেশি, বাংলা শুনতে বেশি স্বাচ্ছন্দ্য বোধ করি। আরো সেশনগুলিকে ইন্টারেক্টিভ এবং এফেক্টিভ করবার জন্য আমরা যদি বাংলায় যাই, আপনাদের কোনো আপত্তি আছে কিনা? ওকে, আমরা একটা না ভোট পেয়েছি, হ্যাঁ এর পক্ষে। বাংলায় আমরা প্রয়োজনে বাংলায় চালাবো। কে আছেন? বাংলায় শুনতে চাইবো আমরা, বাংলায় ম্যাক্সিমাম। ওকে, মেজরিটি মাস্ট বি গ্রান্টেড, সরি ফর দ্যাট। ওকে, আমরা যদি যেভাবে সম্ভব বাংলা, ইংলিশ, অ্যারাবিক, অল ল্যাঙ্গুয়েজ ইজ কোর্ডিয়ালি অ্যাকসেপ্টেড হিয়ার ইন, আমরা সেভাবেই চলবো ইনশাআল্লাহ তাআলা। থ্যাংক ইউ সো মাচ।
Dear moderator, dais is yours, please.
Assalamu alaikum. So I'm a little bit unwell, so please bear with me. If I need to repeat the questions, let me know. For our guests, I'm going to speak in English, but feel free to answer in Bengali. So যে চাবে আপনি বাংলায় আনসার দিতে পারেন। তো বেসিক্যালি আজকে আমরা একটু আগের যে ডিসকাশনগুলো শুনছিলাম, we heard that we have had setbacks in our Islamic banking space. So as a country, we'll actually have to recover from that setback. But not only that, we actually have to go to new heights. Bangladesh has a very large Muslim population. It's a market with large potential. So we need to take advantage. In addition to that, like one of the things that have been somewhat overlooked is the Islamic capital markets. And we have seen countries in our neighborhood, other countries that have successfully built a very vibrant Islamic capital market, including Malaysia and others. And they have allowed locals to invest in a diverse set of products. And not just locals. So what they have been able to do is attract capital from other countries, from GCC, for example, from ASEAN, for example, right? So those are literally the opportunities that we have. Now, are there challenges? Yes, there are challenges. We have issues of documentation. The keynote speaker mentioned about some taxation issues. There's also alignment with global standards, for example. So for global investors to come in, they need to get the comfort that these are not just Islamic in name, but they truly embody the spirit of Islamic finance. So we are going to have a discussion now that will discuss how we can build this the capital markets, Islamic capital markets. And before I start with the questions, I'm going to request our speakers to keep your answers short, within 4 minutes, because we are somewhat late already. So my first question is to Mr. Istiqmal. So we want to hear from you the developments in the Bangladesh Sukuk market and also the outlook for Sukuk, both sovereign sukuk as well as the private sector. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to this session. I am Mr. Kamal Hussain, Director Debt Management Department, Bangladesh Bank, working as a debt manager of Bangladesh government. Actually, this question is two-part. Can I speak in Bengali? Sure. সুকুকের যেটা ইস্যুয়েন্সে যদি দেখি বা আমরা কর্পোরেট এবং গভর্নমেন্ট দুইটা অংশে আলাদা যদি করে যাই, মূল যে সমস্যাগুলো আমরা দেখেছি গভর্নমেন্টের ক্ষেত্রে আসলে এই মুহূর্তে আমরা কোনো একটা সমস্যা দেখছি না। কেন দেখছি না? আমাদের শরিয়া ভিত্তিক ব্যাংকগুলো অবস্থা খুব বেশি খারাপ হওয়ার পরেও আমরা দেখছি যে সুকুকের ইস্যুয়েন্সের ক্ষেত্রে আমরা 6টা সুকুক ইস্যু করেছি। সর্বশেষ গত বছরে যে সুকুকটা আমরা ইস্যু করেছি সেখান থেকে দেখা যাচ্ছে গভর্নমেন্ট সুকুকে 6 গুণ 7 গুণ করে ওভার সাবস্ক্রিপশন হচ্ছে। যদি আমরা বেঞ্চমার্ক একটা ধরি যে 5 বছরের একটা ট্রেজারি বন্ড বা 7 বছরের ট্রেজারি বন্ডের রেটের সাথে অ্যালাইন করে আর যদি বলি যে সেখান থেকে 2% রেট কম হওয়ার পর মার্কেট নিচ্ছে, দ্যাট ইজ আমার এই মার্কেটটা রেডি। যেটা হচ্ছে আমি বলবো যে লিকুইডিটি প্রবলেম থাকলেও এটা আছে, আমার সমস্যা অনেক কিছু থাকলেও আছে। সমস্যা যেটা হচ্ছে আমি ফ্রিকুয়েন্টলি ইস্যু করতে পারছি না, কারণ হচ্ছে আমার গভর্নমেন্ট সুকুকের ক্ষেত্রে আন্ডারলাইন অ্যাসেট যেটা সেটা একটা সমস্যা আছে। আমরা সবাই মিলে চেষ্টা করছি একটা ভালো জায়গায় দাঁড় করাতে, যে আন্ডারলাইন অ্যাসেটগুলোকে বিভিন্নভাবে স্কুটিনি করে, এবং আপনারা জেনে খুশি হবেন যে এইখানে আমরা উপস্থিত আছি এমন কিছু লোককেই আমাদের কিন্তু শরিয়া টেকনিক্যাল কমিটি, আমাদের শরিয়া অ্যাডভাইজারি কমিটি, যারা আমরা সবগুলো মিলিয়ে সুকুকগুলোকে ইস্যু করছি। তবে মেইন যে চ্যালেঞ্জটা আছে সেটা হচ্ছে আসলে আমার মার্কেট কতটুকু অ্যাওয়ার। ছোট্ট একটা গল্প দিয়ে বলবো, আমি গল্পটা সব জায়গায় উদাহরণ দিই। আমি একটা ইন্টারভিউ সেশনে গিয়েছিলাম যেখানে একটা শরিয়া উইন্ডোজের একজন ভদ্রলোক এসে বলেছিলেন যে আপনি যে শরিয়া উইন্ডোজে কাজ করছেন আপনার লক্ষ্য কি, চিন্তা কি? উনি বললেন যে আমি এই দেশটাকে ইসলামী বিপ্লবের মাধ্যমে ইত্যাদি 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 করবো, সুদ মুক্ত একটা ইকোনমি করব। ঠিক আছে, ভালো। তো আপনার পার্সোনাল ইনভেস্টমেন্ট কোথায় আছে? যে আমি সঞ্চয় পত্রে আছি। সুকুকে নেই কেন? জি রেট কম। আমাদের সমস্যাটা হচ্ছে এই জায়গায়, আমরা ইথিক্যালি চিন্তা করি ইন্টারেস্ট থাকবে না, রিবা ফ্রি, কিন্তু মেন্টালি আমি যেখানে রিটার্ন আমার বেশি সেখানে চলে যাচ্ছি। আমি অনুরোধ করব, আপনারা হাত তুলবেন না, কিন্তু বিশ্বাস করবেন আমরা 6টা সুকুক করেছি, 10,000 টাকা করে এক একটা সুকুক। আমার এই অডিয়েন্সের ক্ষেত্রে কয়জনের আছে? আমরা রিটার্নটা চিন্তা করলেও যদি বলি, একটা মার্কেট ডেভেলপ করতে হলে, অ্যাওয়ারনেসের ক্ষেত্রে চিন্তা করতে হলো, আমাকে যদি এই কাজটা না করতে হয় আমরা এই ইকোনমিটা তৈরি করতে পারবো না। এটা হচ্ছে সুকুক যে কোনো ক্ষেত্রে আমি সমস্যা। আর গভর্নমেন্ট সুকুকের ক্ষেত্রে আরেকটা ভালো সংবাদ দিই আমরা, সরকার ইতিমধ্যে সিদ্ধান্ত নিয়েছে শর্ট টার্ম শরিয়া ভিত্তিক প্রোডাক্টে যাবে। আমরা আশা করছি আগামী 3 থেকে 4 মাসের মধ্যেই, মানে এই ফাইন্যান্সিয়াল ইয়ারই আমরা শর্ট টার্ম শরিয়া ভিত্তিক গভর্নমেন্ট প্রোডাক্টের মধ্যে এটা যাবো, যেহেতু এটা লিকুইডিটি আমাদের এটা ডিমান্ডটা অনেক বেশি আছে, এবং সুকুক একটা সময় নিচ্ছে। এই সময়ের থেকে আসলে আমি বলবো যে কর্পোরেট সুকুকের তুলনায় গভর্নমেন্ট সুকুকের সময়টা আমরা অনেক কম পাচ্ছি। তবে ট্যাক্সের ইস্যুটা আসলেই সর্বক্ষেত্রেই, নট অনলি সুকুক, যে কোনো কর্পোরেট বন্ডের ক্ষেত্রে ট্যাক্সের ইস্যুটা এটা আসলে আলোচনায় আসবে। এই আলোচনা থেকেও আমরা এনবিআরকে এটা আশা করি এটা প্রস্তাব যাবে। কর্পোরেট সেক্টরের মেইন সমস্যা যেটা আসলে আমরা দেখেছি যে আমাদের একটা বড় কর্পোরেট সুকুক মাথা এসেছিল, সেই সুকুকটা মার্কেটকে এত বেশি বিভ্রান্ত করেছে, সেখান থেকে আসলে উঠে আসা একটা কঠিন হয়েছে। বিসেকের কিছু দায়িত্ব আছে, সেই দায়িত্ব থেকে আমরা কাজ করতে হবে, প্রত্যেকটা প্রতিষ্ঠানের থেকে কাজ করতে হবে। আর যে দীর্ঘসূত্রিতার যে ব্যাপার আছে, মার্কেটে যদি কনফিডেন্স না থাকে, সেটা সুকুক হোক বা অন্য কিছু, অন্য যে কোনো কর্পোরেট বন্ডই হোক, সেক্ষেত্রে আসলে একটু সমস্যা আছে। তবে যে ক্ষেত্রে একটাই কথা আমি বলবো, আজকে যে আমরা এখানে বসেছি, এই বসাটাই হচ্ছে এগিয়ে যাওয়া। আমি বারবার একটা কথা খুব বলি, আমরা যদি না জাগি তবে কেমনি সকাল হবে। আমরা কর্পোরেট সুকুক হোক, গভর্নমেন্ট সুকুক হোক, যে কোনো ইস্যুতেই শরিয়া ভিত্তিক প্রোডাক্টকে কাজে লাগানোর জন্য আমরা সকলেই যদি একসাথে কাজ করি, এটা যে কোনো সমস্যায় আস্তে আস্তে সমাধান হবে। ধন্যবাদ।
Thank you so much. So my next question is to Dr. Mohammad Iskander. You have heard that we have issued some sukuks in the country, both in the government space and few in the private. And the question to you is that how can Bangladesh attract global investors to locally issued sukuks? So what are the issues that we need to be careful about?
Thank you so much, Mr. Moderator. I think the only way for me to answer that question is to bring the Malaysian experience. So within these 4 minutes, probably I can share some of the things that the Malaysian government did in order to attract, for example, not just a local issuance, but more importantly, international issuance. I think the main trigger point for Malaysia to develop the Sukuk market was the 1997 Asian financial crisis. Because when that crisis happened, we realized that we were so banking centric, and any shock to the banking system, I think will have a lot of pressure on the liquidity in the country. So we wanted to develop the bond market, and then of course we decided that we want to do Islamic first, and then we wanted to develop the Sukuk market. So to answer your questions, I would probably say 5 important criteria for us to really to develop the Sukuk market and say it can become a very viable and also competitive. Number 1, government must become the benchmark setter. I think that's very important. So which means that, government issuance is very important to create not only a liquidity in the market, but also to become the benchmark for the corporate sector. I think that's very important. So which means that the standard of transparency, the standard of issuance, the quality of asset should be set by the government and followed by the private sector. I think that's very critical. Because if you want the private sector to take risks and start the issuance and everything, it's going to be quite difficult to happen. Okay, that's number 1. Number 2, I think the most important thing is that after the financial crisis, we realized that currency stability is very important. So Malaysia spent a lot of time in terms of ensuring the currency stability. I think over the years, I think Forex become very important. As you can see that now, because American dollar is depreciating, ringgit is appreciating for very simple reason, because a lot of money are actually inflowing to buy our papers. So having international investors buying your papers is actually a validation of your credibility. So any issuance should not just be issued for the local market, because eventually the local liquidity will dry up. I think you want some portion of your issuance is also captured by the international market. I think that's number 2. I think number 3, I think which is the most important, is that the ecosystem has to be quite dynamic and also quite viable. Right? So what does it mean? It means that, I'm sure the Central Bank of Bangladesh have already put all the ecosystem in place. But what is even more important is that Sukuk must become the viable choice for your private sector to undertake long-term projects. So which means that you need to allow the market to grow from the medium term to short term. To long term. Let me give you one example what Malaysia have done. Before this, there's no liquidity in the Malaysian market. So any issuance is very short term, it's only 5 to 7 years. And this is problematic because people buy and hold the papers until maturity. Alright, but only with 7 years, you are not able to undertake, let's say, long-term projects. Okay, so then there's a need to push the maturity of the Sukuk more than 7 years to 15 years to 20 years and so on and so forth. And government have used this opportunity to use the Sukuk by giving guarantee to the private sector in order for them to take mega projects. Like all the MRT projects in Malaysia, for your information, is funded by Sukuk. The total issuance only for the MRT or the metro project is about 80 billion ringgit, is about 20 billion US dollar. And it's all given guarantee by the government in order to reduce the rating. So I think the relationship between public and also private sector, especially in terms of undertaking long-term project, is very critical for the Sukuk market. And number 4, which is also the most important thing, is that the quality of the Sukuk paper must be very good so that the bank can actually take the Sukuk papers for their liquidity management, especially to meet up the Basel requirement. I think there's a very important, there is a synergy between the capital market and also the banking sector, because the papers is only issued not only to finance long-term projects, but also allow the bank to hold the short-term papers for their liquidity management. So that's number 4. Number 5, which is the most important thing, is the governance framework. I think without a proper governance framework, you are not able to build trust in the Sukuk system. And unlike banking, the transparency and the trust system, I think, is more critical Because one or two bad Sukuk issuance, I think will have a lot of detrimental impact to the overall capital market. So with that, thank you so much.
Thank you so much for your very structured answer. I'm going to move to Professor Hassan. We have discussed Sukuk. Two of our panel discussions have mentioned Sukuk. What are some other Islamic capital market products that are popular globally that we can introduce or make like in Bangladesh?
Well, the first product that comes to my mind besides Sukuk is Islamic Mutual Fund. I'm not really much cognizant of the current status of mutual fund in Bangladesh and general as well as Islamic. So this is just to give you an example where I live in the United States. United States, we have a secular constitution, separation from church and state. So that's why the banking, even though we do have, but it is not really very popular. But the popular instrument in the United States is Islamic Mutual Fund. And myself really invest. There's a fund called Seturna Mutual Fund. It has different categories, growth, income, and international. But the problem that you face again when you try to create a mutual fund, and actually this is democratization, you know, the diversification, you are giving at a cheaper cost to the general public. But we need to have good script. I'm talking about stocks to begin with. So it is connected with the stock market functioning very properly. Unfortunately, you know, there are problems in the stock market. I'm talking about from the operational efficiency standpoint and also informational efficiency standpoint. There are a few big players, you know, this control the market. Somewhere that governance, coming back to Iskandar's point, the governance becomes a big issue again. And if you see what happened actually, the financial market in general, when they talk about banking, non-banking in Bangladesh, it is the failure of the governance issue, knowingly, unknowingly, 90% knowingly, the government failure, 10% is lack of knowledge. So that part has to be really streamlined, but we cannot do it in silo format because it is connected to the political process of the country. Hopefully this revolution that we had, I call this revolution, things will change. But what I find really coming from outside, I always say this, you know, if you come from outside, outsider enter into Rome house, they can smell it. So since we are here, we do not smell what is going wrong. Coming from outside, I can see that is the DNA of this country. Everyone, whether religious, non-religious, has been changed. We have got accustomed to shortcut and this, and that will take time. That will go with hand in hand with the political process. Second one, the REIT, we want to develop the housing sector. You know, the REIT, Real Estate Investment Trust, that could be another product, and there is also the Islamic component to it. And when it comes to some of the Islamic social finance area, the technology can play a very important role. You know, this Zakat, Center for Zakat Management does collect money. And there are other organizations. I must tell you, if you want to talk about from the Islamic standpoint, Islamic banking is not going to develop the country. Islamic banking has its own problem. We should not let Islamic banks to do everything. Let them do working capital management, Morabaha banking. Don't push them more than this. And if you do this, that will be a big problem because of their operational model. And that is also another reason why there's a big non-NPL in the Islamic banking or banking sector in general, because it can only support 1 to 3 year project that because of fiduciary responsibility from the depositor side. But we want them to invest in long term. We want them to invest in SMEs. This is not the purview of the Islamic banks. We need to get out and develop the non-banking financial institutions. But unfortunately, because of the regulation, glitches, and the way it is managed, we find an inverted yield curve in Bangladesh. Inverted yield curve means there is in finance, on the fundamental, you are a CFA, you know, this relationship between risk and return positive, high risk, high return. Exactly the opposite thing happens in Bangladesh. That's why even the businesses like to go to a bank because they do not have to face all the problem. So to get out of these things, you really have to change all the problems that it exists now. The actually, this is also as a citizen. By the way, I have a dual citizenship. That I feel bad really. Why you guys are there? I mean, putting everything on the liability side. Why didn't you raise your voice? Things are going down in Islamic banking. New products are not coming up. Why you kept silent? I'm talking from the regulator standpoint, from the business, those are participants, everyone is liable for this one. And finally, one thing I want to say, and just to echo his position, you also have to look at the debt capacity of the country. Right now, a figure that I have seen, 20% of interest payment is the total budget, 20% total budget goes to the interest payment. And Islamic finance essence, even in the Quranic ayah, is the war against riba. Now, when you get into too much sukuk or conventional bond, you must take into consideration how much debt the country can really bear. So you really need to get into more typical or traditional partnership type of financing, which is stock form. And in order to do this, you must change the yield curve of the country. The inverted yield curve should be made normal, and you'll see people will be interested in investing into different types of financial instruments besides banking products. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I'm going to move to Mr. Saiful Islam. You have been a veteran in the capital markets and also the president of the DSC Brokers Association. So I would like to learn from you, what role can DSC play in sort of developing the Islamic capital markets?
Thank you. Assalamu alaikum. Can I speak in Bengali? I think most of the
Yes.
people would like to hear. So, I mean, to start with how the capital market works in Bangladesh, first, I mean, the regular conventional capital market, and then I'll move on to the Islamic capital market. Unfortunately, I mean, the capital market has been going through a difficult time for the last many years. And to start with, যেটা হয়েছে যে গত 15 বছর যেটা বাংলাদেশের যে অনিয়মগুলি হয়েছে and mostly with the Islamic banks, as we all know, এবং there may be a reason that we may not be aware of or we may not know, but of course there was a reason. সেখান থেকে যেটা হয়েছে যে আপনার এই আমাদের ইসলামিক ব্যাংকিং সিস্টেমটার উপরে বা ইসলামিক প্রোডাক্টের উপরে কিছুটা আস্থাহীনতাকে যেটা বলি আমরা, যে লস অফ কনফিডেন্সটা ক্রিয়েট হয়েছে। হাউএভার এখানে আমাদের কিছু স্ট্রাকচারাল ইস্যু আছে, যেমন ধরেন ঢাকা স্টক এক্সচেঞ্জে একটা শরিয়া ইন্ডেক্স আছে। দ্যাট শরিয়া ইন্ডেক্সের যেটা কনস্টিটিউয়েন্স, যেটা যে কিভাবে এটা ক্যালকুলেশনটা হয়, কোন স্টকগুলিকে ওনারা কনসিডারেশন নিয়ে ইন্ডেক্সটা ক্যালকুলেট করে, সেটা হ্যাজ নট বিন ডিসক্লোজড। এখানে ডিসক্লোজারের একটা ব্যাপার আছে যে আপনি যে কোনো জিনিসই আপনি যখন পপুলার করতে চান, যেহেতু আমাদের বাংলাদেশ ইজ এ ফেইথ বেসড সোসাইটি অ্যান্ড অলসো একটা সেভিংস কালচার আছে, কিন্তু আমরা আনফর্চুনেটলি আমরা এই শরিয়া বেসড যে ক্যাপিটাল মার্কেট প্রোডাক্ট সেটা এখন পর্যন্ত করতে পারিনি। এবং যে কারণগুলি আমার কাছে যেটা মনে হয়, প্রথমে হচ্ছে যে ইনট্রান্সপারেন্সি, যে আমরা কি করছি সেটা আমরা এখন পর্যন্ত ডিসক্লোজ করি না ফ্রম দ্য ক্যাপিটাল মার্কেট সাইড। সো দ্যাটস এ শর্টকামিং অ্যান্ড সিরিয়াস ল্যাকিং। দ্বিতীয় যদি আমি বলি তাহলে আমি বলবো যে লিটারেসির খুব অভাব, যে ক্যাপিটাল মার্কেট যে কি প্রোডাক্ট হতে পারে, যেমন শ্রদ্ধেয় কবির হাসান সাহেব বললেন যে এখানে আমাদের প্রোডাক্টের মধ্যে আমরা রিট নিয়ে চিন্তা করতে পারি, আমরা ইটিএফ নিয়ে চিন্তা করতে পারি, ইসলামিক মিউচুয়াল ফান্ড নিয়ে চিন্তা করতে পারি, কিন্তু these are all unexplored products in our capital market. তো সেখানে যে এই ইস্যুগুলি যদি নিয়ে আমরা কাজ করতে চাই, প্রথমে হচ্ছে আমাদের অ্যাওয়ারনেসটা বাড়াতে হবে। আমরা জানি যে দেয়ার ইজ এ বিগ মার্কেট, যেটা আমাদের বাংলাদেশ ব্যাংকের শ্রদ্ধেয় যিনি আসছেন উনি বললেন যে সুকুকে কি পরিমাণ ওভার সাবস্ক্রিপশন হচ্ছে, তার মানে হচ্ছে যে দ্য মার্কেট ইজ দেয়ার, দ্য ডিমান্ড ইজ দেয়ার, বাট আনফর্চুনেটলি যেটা হচ্ছে যে আমরা প্রোডাক্টটা তৈরি করতে পারছি না, এবং আমরা আমাদের এই ইসলামিক শরিয়া লিটারেসি রেটটা খুব কম, আমাদের মধ্যেই কম, অ্যান্ড আমরা এটাকে প্রফেশনালি অ্যাপ্রোচ করতে পারছি না, প্রফেশনালি ডিল করতে পারছি না, কিন্তু আমরা আমরা সবাই ব্যাপারটা বুঝতে পারছি যে there is a big demand for it and we should come up with the Islamic Sharia based products. এখন আমরা যেটা করতে চাচ্ছি from like say DBI, I'm representing Dhaka Stock Exchange Brokers Association, সেখানে আমরা প্রথমে বলতে যাচ্ছি যে আমাদের ব্যাপারগুলিতে ট্রান্সপারেন্সি আনতে হবে প্রথমে, ফার্স্ট অ্যান্ড ফরমোস্ট, যে আমরা কি করতে চাচ্ছি ফ্রম দ্য স্টক মার্কেট, আমরা কিভাবে প্রমোট করতে চাচ্ছি, কারণ এটা আমরা মোটামুটিভাবে গত 15 বছরের ব্যাংকিং সেক্টরের ডিব্যাকলে, যেটা হোয়াট দ্য মালয়েশিয়া হ্যাজ লার্ন ইন 1996-97, যে আমাদের এই শর্ট টার্ম deposit long-term funding is a disproportionate approach, সেটা is not sustainable, সেখানে আমাদেরকে অন্য প্রোডাক্টে যেতে হবে, এবং সেই ক্ষেত্রে the Islamic products that we have সেটা আমাদেরকে এক্সারসাইজ করতে হবে। আমরা যেটা কয়েকদিন মানে বেশ কয়েকদিন যেটা বলে আসছি যে আমাদের আরো ইসলামিক স্কলার যারা আছেন ওনাদের সাহায্য নিতে হবে, এবং we may have to bring Islamic knowledge and scholars from outside the country. আর এখানে আমাদের জন্য প্রোডাক্টটা যেহেতু সময় কম, আমার কাছে যেটা মনে হয় যে আমাদের এখন আমরা যে অবস্থায় আছি, দ্যার ইজ এ নিশ মার্কেট, বাট আমাদেরকে প্রোডাক্টগুলি ডেভেলপ করতে হলে আমাদেরকে একটা মডেলকে সামনে রেখে আগানো ভালো, এবং সেই ক্ষেত্রে মালয়েশিয়া ইজ এ গুড এক্সাম্পল। আমরা মালয়েশিয়া মডেলটাকে এক্সারসাইজ করতে পারি ফর দ্য ইনফ্রাস্ট্রাকচার ডেভেলপমেন্ট, এবং তাছাড়া আপনার যেটা নিয়ে কথা হচ্ছে যে ট্যাক্স, যেটা ইজ এ বিগ ব্যারিয়ার টু গ্রো, এই ট্যাক্সের ইস্যুটা আমরা সেন্ট্রাল ব্যাংকের একজন ব্যাংকার আছেন ওনাকে বলছি, কারণ এটা সবারই প্রবলেম, এটা শুধু যে আমার প্রবলেম এটা না, সেটা সরকারের প্রবলেম। এবং আমরা যদি আমি মানে আই পার্সোনালি ডিল উইথ দ্য ফরেন ইনভেস্টার্স, আমি দেখি যে there is an interest from the foreign investors to invest in our market in Sukuk, in Sharia based products, but unfortunately the tax is so I mean unclear and not clarified when it is asked for, সেই ক্ষেত্রে আমরা we are losing the momentum and opportunities to attract foreign investments. এই ব্যাপারগুলি আমরা কাজ করছি, আমরা আশা করছি যে আমরা উইল হ্যাভ এ নিউ গভর্নমেন্ট ইনশাল্লাহ নেক্সট ইয়ার, আর্লি নেক্সট ইয়ার, এবং সেখানে আমরা এখন থেকে পার্সু করছি for creating the opportunities for the Sharia based products. Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum.
Thank you. I'm going to Mufti Abdullah Masoom next. You are on the board of multiple institutions in Sharia advisory committees and otherwise. So what steps can broaden the investable asset, Sharia compliant assets for banks and institutional investors?
Okay, thank you. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. As a working as a Sharia member in several board of Sharia in our country, so I want to share something about the Sharia investable asset. এক্ষেত্রে আমরা যেটা দেখতে পাচ্ছি যে আমাদের দেশে সাধারণত আমরা দেখতে পাই যে দুই ধরনের শারিয়া সম্মত বিনিয়োগযোগ্য ইনস্ট্রুমেন্ট আমাদের দেশে আছে, যেখানে ইনস্টিটিউশন বা ব্যক্তি উভয় জায়গা থেকেই বিনিয়োগ করা যায়। এর মধ্যে একটি হলো, যেমনটি ইতিমধ্যে আলোচনা হয়েছে, যে সুকুক। আমরা জানি বাংলাদেশে গভর্নমেন্ট সুকুক আছে এবং কিছু অল্প পরিসরে নন গভর্নমেন্ট সুকুকও আছে। আর পাশাপাশি আমরা দেখেছি আমাদের দেশে স্টক এক্সচেঞ্জে শারিয়া বেসড স্টক বিনিয়োগ করার সুযোগ আছে। এই দুটো ক্ষেত্রে আমাদের দেশের কয়েকটি সীমাবদ্ধতা এবং উন্নয়নের কয়েকটা সুপারিশ আমি পেশ করবো খুব অল্প সময়ে। এবং তৃতীয় আরেকটি শারিয়া বেসড অ্যাসেট কিভাবে আমরা জেনারেট করতে পারি সে বিষয়ে আমি একটা রিকমেন্ড করব। প্রথম কথা হলো সুকুক বাংলাদেশে আলহামদুলিল্লাহ এটি বাংলাদেশে একটা কমান্ডেবল একটা স্টেপ ছিল। কোভিডের সময় আমাদের বাংলাদেশ ব্যাংক উদ্যোগ নিয়ে সুকুক ইস্যু করা শুরু করেছে। আমাদের এখানে ডেট ম্যানেজমেন্টের সম্মানিত ডিরেক্টর আছেন, তারা বেশ পরিশ্রম করে তারা শুরু করেছিলেন, এজন্য তাদেরকে ধন্যবাদ দিতেই হয়। আমি বাংলাদেশ ব্যাংকের সুকুক টেকনিক্যাল কমিটিতে কাজ করে যাচ্ছি আলহামদুলিল্লাহ। আমরা যেটা দেখতে পাচ্ছি যে এই জায়গাতে বেশ কয়েকটি পদক্ষেপ যদি আমরা আরো নিতে পারি, পজিটিভ স্টেপ, তাহলে সেটা আমাদের দেশের গভর্নমেন্ট সুকুককে ইন্টারন্যাশনাল যে স্ট্যান্ডার্ড সেই জায়গা থেকে সেটিকে আরো উন্নয়ন করা আমরা করতে পারি। ফর এক্সাম্পল, in our country, the government Sukuk has been explored through non-separate SPB entity. So it is recommended to develop government Sukuk through the separate entity-based SPB. It should be recommended through the international practice. There are Malaysian prof presented, they knows best from me. তো এসপিবি যদি আমরা একটা সেপারেট করতে পারি, সেটা আসলে ইন্টারন্যাশনাল একটা বেস্ট প্র্যাকটিসকে আমরা তখন বাংলাদেশে নিয়ে আসতে পারি। আর দ্বিতীয় হলো যে আমাদের যে এখন আমরা সুকুকের যে শরিয়া গভর্নেন্স নিয়ে আমরা কাজ করছি বাংলাদেশ ব্যাংকে, সেখানে খুব ভালো হয় যদি টেকনিক্যাল কমিটির পাশাপাশি একটি শরিয়া টেকনিক্যাল কমিটিও গঠন করা যায়। কারণ আমরা জানি যে এক্সিস্টিং টেকনিক্যাল যে কমিটি আছে, they has no capacity to discuss about Sharia. So I recommended to the director of this department to establish the separate Sharia-based technical committee to establish our Sukuk first term. And then আমাদের যদি আমরা আসি যে আমাদের স্টক এক্সচেঞ্জে আমরা যে দেখছি যে সেখানে শরিয়া বেসড স্টক আছে, সেখানে একটা বড় ধরনের আমরা উন্নয়নের সুযোগ দেখতে পাই। সেটি হলো যে আমাদের দেশে আমরা জানি যে দুটি স্টক এক্সচেঞ্জ আছে। খুব ইন্টারেস্টিংলি দুটো স্টক এক্সচেঞ্জের শরিয়া ইন্ডেক্স সেটা কিন্তু দুই রকম, হয়তো আপনারা অনেকে জানেন। চিটাগং স্টক এক্সচেঞ্জের শরিয়া ইন্ডেক্স সেটা আসতেছে মুম্বাই তাসিস থেকে, আর ঢাকা স্টক এক্সচেঞ্জের শরিয়া ইন্ডেক্সের মেথড আসতেছে হলো আপনার দাও জোন্স থেকে। মাযহাব দুই রকম হয়ে যাচ্ছে। একটা দেশে আপনার শরিয়া ইন্ডেক্স এর যে মেথড আপনার দুই রকম হওয়াতে কিছু অপারেশনাল প্রবলেম তৈরি হয়। ফর এক্সাম্পল, আপনার দুটো মেথডে এরকম হয়, আমরা দেখেছি কি স্টাডি করে যে কিছু ওই মেথডে হয়তো চিটাগংয়ের শরিয়া ইন্ডেক্সের যে মেথড, সেই মেথডে দেখা যাচ্ছে যে কোনো একটা স্টক কমপ্লায়েন্ট, শরিয়া কমপ্লায়েন্ট, বাট ঢাকার স্টক এক্সচেঞ্জের শরিয়া মেথডে সেটা নন কমপ্লায়েন্ট হয়ে যাচ্ছে। এটা একটা আপনার মার্কেটে আপনার এক ধরনের এম্বিগুইটি তৈরি করে। তো সেই ক্ষেত্রে এখন যেহেতু লোকাল আমাদের অনেক শরিয়া স্কলার আলহামদুলিল্লাহ, এটা আমাদের নিয়ামা তৈরি হচ্ছে, তো আমরা হয়তো চেষ্টা করতে পারি যে আমাদের দেশ থেকেই আমরা একটা সেন্ট্রাল একটা শরিয়া মেথোডোলজি এস্টাবলিশ করা, বিকজ দেয়ার আর টু শরিয়া ইন্ডেক্স মেথোডোলজি, one of them for Chittagong and the second for DSC. So why we should not to develop one Sharia index method, either from our country or foreign, that there is no problem. And last, I want to say about the rental-based financing. It is very interesting financing tool. আমরা দেখি যে আমাদের টাকা আছে অনেক বিজনেসম্যানের কাছে। এই টাকাগুলো তারা বিনিয়োগের জন্য আমাদের কাছে যখন আসেন, মোস্ট অফ কেসে তারা ব্যাংকে বিনিয়োগ করতে যান, ফিক্সড ডিপোজিট করতে যান। সুকুকে ইস্তেকমল সাহেব যেটা বলেছেন সত্যি, আসলে আমরা যতটা শরিয়ার কথা বলি, শরিয়া সম্মত বিনিয়োগে আমরা কিন্তু ততটা অগ্রসর না। তো এই টাকাগুলো বিনিয়োগে একদম ব্যাংকে যাচ্ছে, সঞ্চয়পত্রে যাচ্ছে, আর বাকি ইনস্ট্রুমেন্টগুলো খুবই অল্প পরিসরে আছে। সেই ক্ষেত্রে আমরা খুব সহজবুদ্ধভাবে আমরা যদি রেন্টাল বেসিসে কিছু শরিয়া সম্মত বিনিয়োগ করতে পারি, যেখানে আপনার ধরেন একটা জায়গা পড়ে আছে, একটা শপিং মল, একটা শপিং মলে আপনার অনেক কয়েক ফ্লোর থাকে, তো ওয়াই নট যে ওই শপিং মলে যা কর্মকর্তারা আছে, যারা ওনার আছে, তারা সেটাকে রেন্টাল বেসিসে আপনার ভাড়া দিতে পারে। সেখানে আপনার ছোট ছোট ইনভেস্টমেন্ট তখন গড়ে উঠতে পারে, এবং যেহেতু এটা রেন্টাল বেস, সেখানে আপনার রিটার্নটা খুবই আপনার সিকিউর থাকতে পারে। এগুলো হলো নিউ প্রোডাক্ট নিয়ে ইনোভেশন করার সুযোগ আছে। সো আমি এখানে শেষ করছি। অনেক অনেক শুকরিয়া, ধন্যবাদ।
আপনাকে অনেক ধন্যবাদ মুফতি আব্দুল্লাহ মাসুদ। আমাদের শেষ বক্তা মাসুদ ভাই, আমি একই ইন্ডাস্ট্রির। So to Mr. Mashuk, my question is that you manage one of the largest, probably open-ended Islamic mutual fund, and I'm sure you have been facing certain challenges just as we have. So please comment on what these challenges are, and if you have any recommendations for solving these challenges.
Thank you, Asif. Assalamu alaikum. I'm the managing director of IDLC Asset Management Limited. So, আমাদের যে ফান্ডটা এটার সাইজ এই মুহূর্তে 80 কোটি টাকা। টোটাল ওপেন এন্ড ফান্ডের যে সাইজ এই ইন্ডাস্ট্রিতে তার রাফলি 20% মার্কেট শেয়ার আমাদের। তো আমরা যেই চ্যালেঞ্জগুলো ফেস করি, ফার্স্ট কথা হচ্ছে যে আমাদেরকে স্টক মার্কেটে শরিয়া স্টকে ইনভেস্টমেন্ট করতে হয়। তো স্টক মার্কেটে এই মুহূর্তে যে প্রায় 400 স্টক আছে তার মধ্যে রাফলি 1/3 120-25টা স্টক হচ্ছে গিয়ে শরিয়া স্টক। তার মধ্যে যদি আমি ইনভেস্টেবল চিন্তা করি ফ্রম এন ইনস্টিটিউশনাল পার্সপেক্টিভ, আমরা হাতে গোনা 8 থেকে 10টা আসলে স্টক পাই যেগুলোকে আসলে আমরা লার্জ স্কেলে ইনভেস্টমেন্ট করতে পারি। কারণ আসলে ভলিউম একটা ফ্যাক্টর। যখন একটা শরিয়া ফান্ড থেকে আমরা ইনভেস্টমেন্ট করবো 80 কোটি টাকার ফান্ডে, সেখান থেকে যখন রিটার্ন জেনারেট করতে হবে আমাকে কিন্তু একটা সাবস্টেন্সিয়াল অ্যামাউন্ট অফ ফান্ড আসলে একটা স্টকে ইনভেস্টমেন্ট করতে হবে। সো ওই পরিমাণ লিকুইডিটি এবং ওই পরিমাণ যদি আউটস্ট্যান্ডিং শেয়ার না থাকে আমরা এটা করতে পারি না। সো একটা তো হচ্ছে কি লিমিটেড নাম্বার অফ স্টক। 2 নম্বর হচ্ছে গিয়ে বাই রেগুলেশন আমাদেরকে বলা আছে যে একটা সিঙ্গেল স্টকে 10%-এর বেশি ইনভেস্টমেন্ট করতে পারবো না, একটা সিঙ্গেল ইন্ডাস্ট্রিতে 30%-এর বেশি ইনভেস্টমেন্ট করতে পারবো না। সো যে কারণে দেখা যাচ্ছে যে স্টক মার্কেটের মধ্যেও আমি যদি কোনো একটা স্টক ভালো মনে করি আই ক্যানট টেক হায়ার এক্সপোজার, এটা একটা চ্যালেঞ্জ হয়ে যায় আর কি। আর যেটা হচ্ছে যে ডিএসসি শরিয়া ইন্ডেক্স গত 10 বছরে অনলি 1% রিটার্ন জেনারেট করেছে। যদি 15 বছরের টেনিউরে হিসাব করি নেগেটিভ 1.5% রিটার্ন জেনারেট করেছে। সো আমি যদি আন্ডারলাইং অ্যাসেট যদি স্টক হয় এবং সেটার রিটার্ন যদি 10 বছর 15 বছরে ফ্ল্যাট বা নেগেটিভ হয়, সেখান থেকে হাউ ক্যান উই গিভ রিটার্ন টু আওয়ার ইনভেস্টার্স, এটা আমাদের জন্য সবচেয়ে বড় চ্যালেঞ্জ হয়ে দাঁড়ায় আর কি। সো থ্যাঙ্কস টু বাংলাদেশ ব্যাংক অ্যান্ড দ্য গভর্নমেন্ট যে ওনারা গত 5 বছর ধরে অনেকগুলো সুকুক ইস্যু করেছেন। সো যেটা আমাদের জন্য আসলে আন্ডারলাইং অ্যাসেটের ডাইভার্সিফিকেশন আনার জন্য সুবিধা হয়েছে। আমাদের এই মুহূর্তে আন্ডারলাইং অ্যাসেটের রাফলি 33%ই হচ্ছে গিয়ে গভর্নমেন্ট সুকুক, আমাদের রাফলি 40% হচ্ছে গিয়ে স্টক, লিস্টেড স্টক, 25-28% হচ্ছে গিয়ে মুদারাবা ডিপোজিট। সো আমরা সবসময় 2-5%-এর মতো একটা ক্যাশ লিকুইডিটি মেনটেন করি, যেটা আমাদের জন্য বেনিফিট বলবো। যে স্যার যেটা বলছিলেন যে আসলে আমরা ইন্ডিভিজুয়াল কেন সুকুকে ইনভেস্টমেন্ট করি না, একটা বড় চ্যালেঞ্জ হচ্ছে যে এটার মিনিমাম লট সাইজটা অনেক বড়, আর 2 নম্বর হচ্ছে গিয়ে এটার টেনিউরটা 5 বছর 7 বছরের জন্য ফিক্স থাকে। সো একজন ইন্ডিভিজুয়ালের পক্ষে 7 বছর ধরে একটা সুকুকে ইনভেস্টমেন্ট করে থাকাটা অনেক চ্যালেঞ্জিং। অন দ্য আদার হ্যান্ড ওয়েন উই ইনভেস্ট ফ্রম দ্য শরিয়া ইসলামিক ফান্ড টু দ্য সুকুক, so we can give the liquidity to our investors because we maintain diversified, আমার এখানে লিকুইড স্টক আছে, আমার এখানে মুদারাবা ডিপোজিট আছে, আমার এখানে ক্যাশ আছে। সো ইনভেস্টররা কিন্তু চাইলে আমার ফান্ডে আমাদের মতোগুলো যে শরিয়া ফান্ডগুলোতে ইনভেস্টমেন্ট করে দে ক্যান গেট লিকুইডিটি অ্যান্ড অ্যাজ ওয়েল অ্যাজ দে গেট দ্য সেম টাইপ অফ রিবেট, ট্যাক্স রিবেট অ্যাজ ওয়েল। সুকুকে ইনভেস্টমেন্ট করলেও যেরকম 75,000 টাকা ট্যাক্স রিবেট পাওয়া যায়, শরিয়া মিউচুয়াল ফান্ডে করলেও পাওয়া যায় আর কি। সো আমার কাছে যেটা মনে হয় যে এই জায়গাটা থেকে গভর্নমেন্ট লেভেলে থেকে যদি একটু অ্যাওয়ারনেস থাকে, আমরা প্রাইভেট সেক্টরে তো আমরা আমাদের মতো করে অ্যাওয়ার করি আমাদের প্রোডাক্টটাকে প্রমোট করার জন্য, বাট আমাদের ক্যাপাসিটি ইজ ভেরি লিমিটেড সেখানে। এবং রিটেইল পার্টিসিপেশন এই মুহূর্তে যতগুলো শরিয়া মিউচুয়াল ফান্ড আছে তার মধ্যে ম্যাক্সিমামই হচ্ছে ইনস্টিটিউশনাল ফোকাসড শরিয়া, যারা আসলে ইনস্টিটিউশনাল ইনভেস্টরদের কাছে যায়। তো রিটেইল পার্টিসিপেশন এনহান্স করার জন্য আমাদের ক্যাপাসিটি লিমিট। সো গভর্নমেন্ট লেভেল থেকে যদি এই অ্যাওয়ারনেসগুলো থাকে, অ্যাট দ্য সেম টাইম যদি রেগুলেটর এসিসি যদি এই শরিয়া মিউচুয়াল ফান্ডের পারফরমেন্স প্যারামিটার এবং রেগুলেটরি ফ্রেমওয়ার্কগুলো চেক করে, কারণ অনেক সময় দেখা যায় যে অনেক শরিয়া মিউচুয়াল ফান্ডের শরিয়া সুপারভাইজারি বোর্ড নাই, অথবা আন্ডারলাইং স্টক হয়তো বা নন শরিয়া। তো এই জায়গাগুলোতে আসলে এবং অনেকের পোর্টফোলিও ডিসক্লোজও করে না। সো এই জিনিসগুলো যদি রেগুলেটর লেভেল থেকে যদি মনিটর করা হয়, অ্যাট দ্য সেম টাইম যদি একটা পারফরমেন্স রেটিং করা যায়, পারফরমেন্স নট জাস্ট রিটার্ন, রিটার্ন ইজ ওয়ান ইউএসপি, কিন্তু তার বাইরে কিন্তু আরও অনেকগুলো ইউএসপি আছে, দ্য লিকুইডিটি, দ্য অ্যাভেলেবিলিটি, হ্যাঁ, যদি টেকনোলজিক্যালি অ্যাডভান্স করা যায় তাহলে কিন্তু আসলে প্রোডাক্ট প্রমোট হবেই। সো আমরা মনে করি যে এই চ্যালেঞ্জগুলো যদি ওভারকাম করা যায়, এই মার্কেটে জিওমেট্রিক হারে আসলে এক্সপোনেনশিয়াল হারে এই মার্কেটটা গ্রো করবে। থ্যাংক ইউ।
Thank you so much, Mashuk Bhai. I want to thank all the speakers for this session. I personally learned a lot, and I think the audience also learned. I wish I had more time to hear more from you, but I have been told that time is up, so we'll just end it here. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, our honorable moderator and panelists as well, for your valuable insights and thoughts. Thank you once again. Now, this is the high time to hand over the honorary crest to our international speaker, Dr. Muhammad Iskandar Shah Muhammad Rashid. I would like to come to the dais, Dr. Mufti Yusuf Sultan Hafizahullah, on behalf of Adal Advisory and on behalf of IFA Consultancy, Mr. Mufti Abdullah Masum Hafizahullah. Please hand over the token of honor, honorary crest to Dr. Muhammad Iskandar Shah Muhammad Rashid Hafizahullah. We have crest for our panel discussant also. Inshallah, we will hand it over later on. Because of time consuming, we can speak this one if you allow us, please. Dr. Muhammad Iskandar Shah Muhammad Rashid, Honorable CEO, ISRA Consulting, Malaysia, is being handed over a token of honor by receiving him through honorary crest. Thank you once again. Okay. Okay, this is the last panel's discussion of this day. We are about to conclude our today's journey. Now, this is the fourth panel discussion. Islamic finance is not static. It must evolve with global trends while remaining firmly rooted in Sharia principles.
Our final panel explore global trends in Islamic finance, value-based intermediation, maqasid al-Sharia, fintech, and artificial intelligence. Moderating by Mr. Shahryar Khan, founder and CEO of 𝐒𝐮𝐦𝐢. And dear panelists are Mr. 𝐒𝐿 Saifullah, EVP and Head of Islamic Banking, NCC Bank, Professor Dr. Habibullah Zakaria, Professor Kobir Hassan, Mr. Mahmoud Hussain, CEO and MD of Millennium, Sheikh Dr. Mufti Manjuri Ilahi, Sharia Board Member, Bangladesh Bank, Mufti Ihsan Wakaru Ahmad, CEO, Ihsan Sharia Advisor and Consultant, ISAC, Mr. Abid Azam, Head of Delivery, BFS System Limited.
I would like to request Honorable Moderator to take the panel discussant to the dais. Mr. Moderator and panel discussant, now okay. This session is for you, and the floor is now yours. Please join us on stage. Now, the topic is global trends in Islamic finance, value-based intermediation, maqasid al-Sharia and fintech, and artificial intelligence. This session is going to be moderated by Mr. Shahryar Khan, Honorable Founder and CEO of 𝐒𝐮𝐦𝐢. We have another 7 panelists in this session.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome everyone to the final panel discussion of today's wonderful event. You already heard about very interesting topics like, in general, growth of Islamic banking, Sharia governance, and also a very wonderful discussion about the capital market, Islamic capital market. Now we have a fascinating discussion of global trends in Islamic finance, we'll discuss about value-based intermediation, Maqasid al-Sharia, fintech, and AI. And this is especially interesting because this helps us look to the future of Islamic finance. To give a quick introduction of the value-based intermediation, which a lot of you may not be familiar with, it's a value-based intermediation is a model that integrates profit-making with social impact, and it's becoming more and more prominent these days. And you already know that with the rise of fintech and AI, these innovations are driving financial inclusion to underserved populations and really directly impacting lives and societies. In this panel, we'll explore how Islamic finance can leverage technology and how Maqasid al-Sharia, which basically means the higher objectives of Islamic law, can help us be true to our objectives. And without further ado, we'll start with Mr. Mahmoud Hussain, CEO and MD Millennium. So, Mr. Mahmoud, first question for you is regarding the rise of technology in terms of AI and fintech. How do you think we can help people with these new innovations, help them get more services, and also reduce income inequality in general?
Distinguished guests, my dear industry colleagues, and honorable participants, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. It gives me immense pleasure today to be able to talk about the AI and fintech, how it's going to have impact on our life, on Islamic finance, particularly in augmenting and accelerating financial inclusion, delivering value-based impact, and reducing inequality. First of all, let's talk about how this AI and fintech is helping and can take us forward as well in the case of financial inclusion. Before we go into the details, let's see the current scenario. Presently, as study says that 43% of Bangladeshi population, adults, they don't have access to formal bank accounts. Whereas for the entire world, 43% has the account, the rest doesn't have the account. Yeah. On the other hand, 72%, global average is 72%, they have this kind of access. So see the difference, okay? And what does it mean? I mean, how does it impact, our financial inclusion? See, because such exclusion that we can see, around, we are talking about 67% exclusion. That kind of exclusion actually what does it do? It actually become a building, which is the building blocks of economic empowerment, the inclusion, and this exclusion is actually hindering us. Okay. Now let us see how to segment these issues. So to augment and accelerate financial inclusion, this AI and fintech has been in the country making tremendous, phenomenal actually contribution. Although we need to go a long way, but we can see that through MFS activities and through things like agent banking, these are augmenting and actually accelerating the access to finance for the unserved people. Okay, but these are helping only to actually have deposit account, access to deposit account. But the crux is, what about financing? To make prudent financing, you need to have these unserved the citizens. We need to find out, we need to determine their credit worthiness, very important thing. And to actually determine the credit worthiness, AI driven data-based applications can help tremendously. And as the result is, you can see the AI-based credit exploring and nano-financing. And it's just started in the country, although it's in nascent stage, but we can expect a tremendous improvement in near future. Okay. So, I mean, besides these things, AI can impact in the smart zakat, sadaqah, and at the end, I would like to draw your attention in another innovative way of leveraging this AI and fintech. How? Do we have any idea that we have huge amount of waqf estate lying around, and it is being in unutilized stage? Can you guess that how big is this waqf estates, and how much income right now is generating, and how much income could be generated leveraging AI and fintech? Number one, in Bangladesh, there are 6 lakh acres of land, okay, available in the waqf state. Imagine the income through it, the way it's been handled through a governmental management, is only yielding in a year approximately 60 lakh taka in 2015 and 16. But with the proper implementation of AI technology, with blockchain, with tokenization of these assets, usul fact, we can see a revolution in the country. Any idea? Any idea how much the income could be from this 600 acres of waqf, while utilizing that thing in a proper way, using this AI technology, by tokenizing the user fact of it, is possible only through utilization of 20% of this land, and if it is being utilized, developed properly using this AI-based technology. So the amount could be, can you guess how much per year? $1 billion. Not a matter of joke. Only 20% utilization of this workforce state. So this is the way
Yes, sir.
how AI and fintech can bring revolution in this country, utilizing what we have right now. Thank
Right.
you.
Thanks a lot, Mr. Mahmoud Hussain, for the insightful talk. For the other moderators, we are really short on time, so we'd appreciate if you can keep your discussion within 5 minutes. And of course, we'll come back once we have covered all the panelists. Next, I would like to go to Shaykh Dr. Muhammad Munzir Ilahi, who, as you all know, is a prominent scholar in our country of Sharia. For the Sheikh, I have question related to these innovations that Mr. Mahmoud just talked about. Whatever new innovations come up, how can we make those credible? How can we make sure that those are things that people can use with peace of mind in terms of Sharia and in terms of risk management as well?
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وأصحابه ومن والاه. The question was, what governance and practices can keep this innovation credible? There are so many ways. I think we should think of these ways, and I can give some example. For example, number one, we can reboost and reconstruct our Sharia governance, our Sharia supervisory board, ensuring that it is independent and it works well with full credibility and work with Sharia standards. Number two, by ensuring third-party auditing, for example, world-renowned or worldly recognized auditing firms, internationally recognized auditing firms, to ensure that there is nothing hidden and to ensure that everything is practice here in the institution is legal, clear, and there is no non-Sharia compliance practice here, and also not misuse of the fund. So this should be ensured to keep the innovation credible. And also Sharia compliant risk management should be introduced. Because there are so many risks with these innovations. First of all, we should ensure that there is no Sharia, non-Sharia compliance. And also we should ensure that there is no misuse of fund. By ensuring these 2 points, for example, we can make the innovation credible. So I think there are so many other ways. Also, our research unit can, explore some other ways to ensure that the new innovations are matching with Sharia. Sometimes, for example, AI technology. There are so many non-Sharia compliance with the use of AI, but it is not being explored. This is the cause that there may be some risks arise with non-Sharia compliance. So I think we should have another technical Sharia sector or segment which will make research on this field to ensure that everything is Sharia compliant. And in this way, I think the governance and the practices can be credible, inshallah. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sheikh Dr. Mazhar-e-Ilahi, for the wonderful points. I'd like to next go to Mr. Safiullah, EVP Head of Islamic Banking at NCC Bank. My question to Mr. Safiullah is regarding Maqasid Sharia. So how do we turn Maqasid ideas into simple rules, into policies, sectoral policies that banks and investors can follow? And how can we also make sure that disclosures are made so that investor trust is preserved?
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والعاقبة للمتقين. Thank you, moderator and guest speakers and all the audience. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. This is very important in the financial sector, Maqasid Sharia. What do you mean by Maqasid? It is aim, objective, etc. and so on, Sharia as rules and regulations guided by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It is a mandatory rules and regulations. A Muslim must abide by the rules and regulations as guided by the Quran and Ahadith, that means traditions of the Rasul sallallahu alaihi salatu wasalam. Maqasid Sharia definitely emphasize preservation of life, faith, wealth, wisdom, and nasl. And it can be translated into three sectoral policies. Number one, exclusion of harmful industry. Definitely it is must to avoid all types of haram activities in a Muslim lives, so that he can spend his life for the satisfaction of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and also salvation of himself. Number two, innovation. Innovative product must be introduced with the span of time and to demand the current situation. It is also Maqasid Sharia. Number three, environmental and socially responsible policy should be adopted for the development of the countries, for the welfare of the countries. This type of inclusion may Maqasid as visible for the investors. Number one, like exclusion of haram business, such as to avoid haram sources to income, for income, haram sources to avoid. And the like and activity likely that are harmful to the society, to the human health, or to the whole nation, or to the for the whole mankind. Number four, transparency, which are very crucial. We must show, we must disclose all rationale for including, excluding any companies or any business segments. We must to say why this is Sharia compliant and why this is not Sharia compliant according to Quran and Sunnah. And if you go to transparency policy, we have to maintain corporate governance. We have to disclose our corporate governance. We have to maintain our transparency in reporting. And we have to clarity and disclosure in all respect, so that a Muslim can show, can play total these total activities for obeying all the rules and regulations for the satisfaction of Allah Ta'ala. And Maqasid Sharia is fixed, as Quranul Kareem says, وَكَذَلِكَ جَعَلْنَاكُمْ أُمَّةً وَسَطًا. Also said Allah Ta'ala, here Muslim Ummah is defined, Ummata Wasata. no east, no east. Right path should be followed. In another Quranic verses, Allah Ta'ala says, فَاتَّبِعْهَا ثُمَّ جَعَلْنَاكُمْ عَلَى شَرِيعَةٍ ثُمَّ جَعَلْنَاكَ عَلَى شَرِيعَةٍ مِنَ الْأَمْرِ فَاتَّبِعْهَا. Nabi, you are bound. Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, you are bound to play all the rules all the rules and regulations, to abide all the rules and regulations as guided by the Quran. So Maqasid Sharia is very important in respect of social activities as well as in respect of economic activity. This is the achievement or goal or last end of a Muslim or Muslim Ummah. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. AQM Safiullah. I'd like to next go to Dr. Habibullah Zakaria, who is the covering dean at IIUM, Islamic University of Malaysia. My question to you, Dr. Habibullah, is how can we use value-based intermediation and also Makassi-driven banking products, and what would be the most high ROI products that delivered the real world impacts the fastest?
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. Thank you, moderator. I would like to thank the organizing committee and IFA Consultancy. Of course, the audience, without you, there shouldn't be any panel. I regret that I cannot speak Bengali because I can see how the audience are very energetic whenever the speaker speak in your language. So today I regret that I cannot speak Bengali, but hopefully maybe my next journey I will try my possible best to learn some Bengali words, inshallah. Yeah. That's very important. Okay, I think to respond to your question, I need to bring all of us back to Islamic financial institution in general, as well as the size of Islamic finance. Currently, I think is more than 5 trillion USD, which expected that in 2018 and 2028 will be more than 7.5 trillion USD. So, but going deeper, zooming into the product that we have. As you know, we have different type of product. We have debt-based financing as well as equity-based financing. When we look at the equity-based financing across the globe, is less than 5%. Whereby debt-based financing is more than 90%. What does that mean? It means that we are still within the debt-based financing. Okay, what's the difference between us and conventional? If conventional is more or based or focused on debt, which is loan. So the difference is not much. What makes us different is value-based intermediate and Maqasid Sharia. And that's, I think, what we need to focus on. We need to shift from being, quote unquote, focusing on legal part of Sharia to Maqasid and value-based. When I look into the statistic in Bangladesh, we have more than 7.5 million SMEs. And out of this, we have more than 93% small enterprise. Okay. What does that mean? It means that these are the people that need our support. So in the banking sector, mostly we focus on profitability. We have to get profit. But we neglected underserved and unserved population. I think Mr. Mahmoud just mentioned in his presentation. What does that mean? It means that we need to focus on that segment I think more than 90% of Bangladeshi population are under that segment. So what are the products that we can issue, we can offer in the market that we serve this segment? So one of these is Mudaraba base, Musharaka base for financing of those who are in SME sector. Of course, the training is needed to upgrade their skills, to know how they can have much on the market, to see the market and see how can they benefit from the market. The second thing is, of course, I know in the banking sector we don't want much risk, and when you look at the Mudaraba Musharaka, based on the credit, we consider it is very high risk. But this is where takaful and micro takaful can play a very significant role. In the morning, we listen to the one of the panelists talk about the takaful, I think, which is very, very important. Banking sector, takaful sector need to go together. Okay, we can start with micro takaful because, as I said, more than 90% are under SMEs, and micro takaful can actually cover that aspect. Another aspect that I think we need to cover is Sukuk. Sukuk with value-based intermediate. Recently, IOFI standard, they issue Sukuk, they issue the standard on work-based Sukuk. And recently in Malaysia, we are developing Sukuk work-based product. So this kind of Sukuk can focus on infrastructure rather than business as usual. So our people in Bangladesh can benefit from this kind of Sukuk, which is under Waqaf. I also want to draw our attention is that I think Prof. Kabir also mentioned in his presentation earlier that we cannot put everything under banking sector. We need to know our core business. In the era of Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, everything was okay without bank. So Islamic social finance is very important. And that Islamic social finance, including Waqaf, Zakah, this sector must be regulated. Otherwise, we are losing our identity as a Muslim. The bank is not our system, it's their system. And no matter how you want to develop it, you are restricted with certain maybe policy set of maybe Basel 1, Basel 2, Basel 3. We are restricted.
Sorry, if you can please wrap up in 30 seconds.
Okay. At the end, I think just to wrap up, summary of my is that we need to be very systematic in terms of introducing, offering products. We need to look into Islamic finance rather than Islamic banks. Finance is bigger than Islamic banks. And we also need to not only legality, but we need to actually focus on value-based intermediate. Thank you, Administrator. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Habibullah Zakir Jazakallah khair, for bringing our attention to that important point, that Islamic banking is not necessarily always Islamic finance, and we need to think bigger. So I would like to come next to Mr. Abid Azam to bring on his expertise to discuss what partnerships or test environments or sandbox environments, you could say, we can launch or we can use to help good Islamic fintech ideas launch faster.
So I think I'm going to go more with like venture capital, because venture capital is
more of my background, I'm from Silicon Valley, and most of the most famous startups started off in Silicon Valley. And the other aspect of that is the biggest companies in the US are essentially these startups. They're bigger than the older banks that started like hundreds of years ago. And they're starting to provide similar, the same services. And I would say that the one advantage of Silicon Valley is there's a broad ecosystem and well-established networks that contribute to fostering startups. And the interesting part of it is it follows Islamic finance in the sense that it's equity based and like a shared risk model. And as others mentioned here earlier today, is that this is a great opportunity for the Islamic community to help each other grow. And I believe if this model applied properly or in a larger portion than the banking system, it would allow more to rise and thrive. And I think one of the best examples in Bangladesh is Bcash. And Bcash is like the only unicorn in Bangladesh, which means like a startup that crossed $1 billion in market cap, and it's actually at 2 billion. And the other aspect that of Bangladesh that I find interesting is remittance, and that that 30 billion is coming annually from abroad, and this capital can be redeployed or is being redeployed through individuals to their family and to like a broad spectrum of Bangladesh society. And this brings in aspects of fintech, AI that could be used, and it could be in an Islamic finance manner that could actually change the opportunities that are available. And I think there'd be a better future if we deployed modern technologies like blockchain, AI, and transfer funds to people that could utilize it. And actually, they know how to best utilize the funds in a larger sense than I would argue than a banking system, and a banking system that's more asset based or limited in the ability to provide credit. And so I would use the models of like accelerators, angel investing, and a foster community that would encourage startups to grow and thrive.
Thank you, Mr. Abidazam, for the wonderful discussion on startups and the VC ecosystem that goes hand in hand with the modern digitalization and also the digital products that we are seeing. I would like to go next to Mr. Mufti Ihsan Wakar Ahmed, who is the VC at Al-Ghazali University in Pakistan. And my question is, how can universities or academic institutions like Al-Ghazali University help students learn Islamic finance in a way that combines maqasid, value-based intermediation, and also align themselves with new technologies that are coming up in terms of AI and fintech? How can they be ready for this next wave of technology and innovation?
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Thank you very much. I would like to thank the organizers, the IFA Consultancy, and the entire community for inviting me here and providing me with the opportunity. I would like to share some of my experiences, what we're doing there at Al-Ghazali and in Pakistan, what the different stakeholders are doing in order to address the community, the stakeholders, with the development that is happening on the technological side. At Al Ghazali, we have been striving to bridge the gap between the two communities in the society. The one which is more towards Islamic education, going to the traditional Orthodox madrasas. We are trying to equip those students with the modern finance, what is happening across the globe, how finance operates in different areas. Although they are experts in Sharia, they know the jurisprudence, they know the fundamentals, and they're very well versed with the maqasid as well. But correlating it with what is happening today in the industry, what is happening across the globe, how technology has played the vital role, and talking about smart contracts and things like that. I have an opportunity to be chair the Sharia board of a digital bank there. So things are quite different what was happening earlier. So that is very important, where you need to bring that fraternity and keep them abreast, make them aware how the transaction is actually happening. Because on a digital platform, things are quite different. And it makes very difficult for a person to understand that how the transaction is being executed. So that is one of the challenges which we foresee, and we are trying to bring that group of people close to the technology, make them understand how modern finance work, how technology is basically integrated into the operations today. The second group of people, those who are well versed with technology, they're well versed with finance, they're well versed with the modern education. But unfortunately, there's a disconnect, and they are not very well versed with what Islam says and what Sharia principles are, what the maqasids are for. So we are basically inviting undergrad students, even the postgrad students and graduate students, to do some special courses on Islamic jurisprudence, on Islamic finance. So with their understanding on the technology and integrating it with the Islamic concepts and the principles of Sharia and the maqasid in Sharia, they would be coming close, understanding the nature of Islamic finance, and then they can better interpret how Islamic finance should operate. So this is the two things what we are very aggressively monitoring, especially talking about the scholars sitting on the Sharia boards. That is also a challenge because, again, as I said earlier, they're very well versed with the jurisprudence area. They're very well versed with Sharia studies. But how the transaction and what are the basic operations like treasury products, like trade finance products, that is very different. And managing the liquidity, especially when you talk about in Pakistan, we are now striving to move towards converting the entire economy into Islamic finance and Islamic principles. So that becomes a challenge, and every stakeholder has to revisit his operations, his practices, and align them according to the Sharia principles. So the monetary policy, the central bank operations, that is also an area where the Sharia scholars needs to know how basically central banks intervene and manages the economic activities.
Sir, if you can wrap up in 30 seconds, please.
So these are some of the areas where we are trying to integrate both the knowledge segments and the group of people, what they basically need, conduct a TNA, and then devise courses and programs accordingly, so that can help them understand what the basic fundamentals are. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mufti Ihsan. I'm very sorry, we are very short on time. I would like to last go to Mr. Kabir Hassan to please share your final thoughts on this topic of digital finance.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. I'm not going to really focus on digital finance because everybody has spoken very well. But let me just share some of since I dream about the future of Islamic finance in this country, just share my points on three different aspects: the trust, depth, and the purpose. Now, why I'm talking about the trust, we need to repair the moral foundation of Islamic finance in this country. Now, Islamic finance is not only a system of contracts, it is a moral covenant. Recent governance challenge in our banking sector have shown that many failures are not technical. They are failures of ethics, transparency, and accountability. If depositors cannot trust that their money is safe, if investors cannot trust our disclosures, if citizens feel finance is Islamic only in name, then the system loses its soul. And that is what is happening in this country. To rebuild trust, we must strengthen independent, competent boards, including Sharia boards, elevate internal Sharia audit, risk-based monitoring, and evidence-based reporting, ensure strict enforcement of compliance, because standards without consequences do not create credibility, embed a culture of amana, where every stakeholder treats financial intermediation as a public trust, not a private privilege. The second point, the depth. Building a full Islamic financial ecosystem is not only the banking, even the banking probably is 80% and whatever 70%. We need to go to non-banking financial institutions like Islamic capital markets, strategic and well-structured sovereign and corporate Sukuk, Islamic mutual fund, REITs, and private funds, tax neutrality and standardized documents, ratings and disclosure aligned with AAOIFI and IFA standard, takaful and re-takaful, human capital development. We need to really revamp our curriculum and introduce full-fledged program in universities which are non-existent. Regulatory coordination is very important. We are working in silos. Bangladesh Bank, Bangladesh Security and Exchange Commission, NBR, Ministry of Finance, and industry must jointly draft a 10-year roadmap, like many countries does, covering Sukuk pipelines, takaful framework update, Islamic banking asset quality, integration of AAOIFI standards, and incentives for Islamic fintech.
Sorry, if you can wrap up in 30 seconds, please.
Just final point. So DAP requires institutional alignment, not isolated initiative. So what I'm trying to say, that we need to have a shared responsibility. The future of Islamic finance in Bangladesh will be shaped not by one regulation or one institution, but by the daily decisions of people in the room, regulators who enforce standards, bank boards who choose transparency over convenience, CEOs who prioritize Sharia governance, scholars who balance facilitation with integrity, academics like me and trainers who build the next generation, and investors who demand ethical value. And if we can bring trust, depth, and purpose, then Bangladesh will emerge not only a participant, but one of the leaders in Islamic finance industry. Thank you very much.
Thank you to all the wonderful speakers. We heard some fascinating discussion about the value-based intermediation and rise in AI and fintech, and also how we can wrap this all together with our values. So I'm sure we could hear all night long to these wonderful speakers, but thank you again for all your time, and we hope I hope we can make time for you again. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Moderator. To wrap up this session, we have two international speakers adjacent to this session, Mufti Ihsan Waqar Ahmad and Professor Dr. Habibullah Zakaria. We wanna hand over a token of honor to them. Though we have request for all discussant in this panel, inshallah, to save time, we will skip this session. And later on, inshallah, we will hand over this to the panel discussant. Now, I would like to request Mufti Abdullah Masum and Mufti Dr. Yusuf Sultan to join the panel and to hand over the token of honor. I mean, honorary crest, please. Crest of honor to be handed over by Dr. Mufti Yusuf Sultan and Mufti Abdullah Masum. And we request all other panel discussants to cooperate these two organizer, please. On behalf of Adal Advisory, Dr. Mufti Yusuf Sultan is going to hand over token of honor to our international speakers and Mufti Yusuf Abdullah Masum as well. Prof. Habibullah, I have some gift for Dr. Yusuf Sultan. We request to hand over, please. Dear Hull, we are about to conclude our today's event. We are at the very finishing of this day's journey. We will call you up onto the stage to have a group photo for tomorrow's newspaper. Before that, we will request our Dr. Mufti Yusuf Sultan to conclude this session through his ending speech, please. I would like to request Dr. Mufti Yusuf Sultan to deliver his concluding speech within shortest possible time. Inshallah, we will make a draw line and a concluding line of this day's journey, inshallah.
May I request the honorable panelists just to stay in the stage? I will just take around 2 minutes and then we will have a group photo with all the participants, inshallah. So the cameraman, apnara ekটু ready থাকতে পারেন, inshallah. বিসমিল্লাহির রহমানির রহিম, আলহামদুলিল্লাহ। আজকে সারাদিন আমাদের বাংলাদেশ ইসলামিক ফাইন্যান্স সামিটে যারা এসেছেন এবং যারা সময় দিয়েছেন, যারা কথা বলেছেন, যারা স্পন্সর, আমরা সবাইকে অত্যন্ত আন্তরিক ধন্যবাদ জানাচ্ছি। While we come close to the session for the Bangladesh Islamic Finance Summit, আমি মনে করি যে আমরা সবাই এটাতে একমত যে it's just a beginning of many more in the future. আমরা কি সবাই একমত ইনশাআল্লাহ? ইনশাআল্লাহ। এবং আমি on behalf of the organizers, I apologize for all the shortcomings. এবং আপনারা বুঝতেই পাচ্ছেন আসলে বাংলাদেশের বর্তমান প্রেক্ষাপটে এবং রিসেন্ট ডেভেলপমেন্টের কারণে যে সিকিউরিটি কনসার্নগুলো ছিল, it has been very, very challenging to keep this going. But alhamdulillah, with all your du'as and support, Allah Ta'ala আমাদেরকে একটা ইভেন্টের শেষ প্রান্তে নিয়ে আসছেন। And in the next 2 days, we will have capacity building sessions in collaboration with IOFI in a different venue. Those who have confirmed, inshallah, they will be joining. Our heartfelt gratitude goes to the Honorable Governor of the Bangladesh Bank. He made his remarkable presence today. And also all our sponsors and partners. Of course, not to mention about the City Islamic, Aristo Pharma, and all our sponsors. Particularly, I want to also have a respectful mention of IOFI from Bahrain, INSEF University joining as a knowledge partner, Professor Iskander. My professor, I had 2 courses with Professor. Thank you very much, Professor, for coming. IOM Institute of Islamic Banking and Finance, Mizan Bank, and all other international participants, and also Association of Sharia Scholars Malaysia, Association of Sharia Advisors Malaysia. They have been our strategic partner as well. Thank you very much for coming on board and helping us to get away this summit. This summit has proven that Bangladesh stands ready to lead with integrity, lead with innovation, with purpose, with values, and ready to collaborate with the world. So it's just a first step, and the dialogues that we had today sparked here will continue far beyond far beyond today and far beyond the next 2 days, inshallah. Influencing the boardrooms, the Sharia board, the board of directors, shaping the policy, the regulators, and guiding institutions toward a much more ethical and maqasid-based, inclusive Islamic finance, inshallah. With sincere appreciation, we thank every participant, speaker, sponsor, and supporter for making BIFS 2025 a true success. Before I finish, আমি একটা announcement দিতে চাই. With this event today, we are launching officially the external Sharia audit service by IFA Consultancy, inshallah, in collaboration with Adal Advisory and other our international partners. And we'll be very happy to extend this service to entities in Bangladesh, inshallah. And last but not least, I really sincerely congratulate our team, Mufti Abdullah Masoom, and all other team members who have been working tirelessly behind the scene for their endless support and work. You have been tremendous. Thank you, everyone. We look forward to welcome you again at Bangladesh Islamic Finance Summit 2026, inshallah. With that, Jazakumullah khairan. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you, Dr. Yusuf Sultan, for delivering your nice concluding speech on the behalf of Adal Advisory Limited and also from IFA Consultancy. Now, this is the high time to have photographs. But we would like to request all distinguished guests, dear presents and participants, to join us with this session. Please, with this photographs, we inshallah ta'ala conclude our today's session. City Islamic Presence, Bangladesh Islamic Summit, Finance Summit 2025, and AAOIFI Capacity Building Week 2025. With this journey, we have a group of sponsors. We had title sponsor City Islamic and gold sponsor in SEPTA, Community Bank, Rankon, Pubali Islamic Banking, IDLC. We would like to request all sponsors to join this session. Then we had also co-sponsors, strategic partners, technology partner, knowledge partners, and media partner. We request all of you to join us to have photographs, please. I would like to request Mr. Mubashir Ali, CSA, to hand over the craze, the remaining guests, please. আমরা এখন একটি গ্রুপ ছবি নেব, যেটি আগামীকাল আমাদের পত্রিকায় স্থান করে নেবে ইনশাআল্লাহ তাআলা। আমি বিনয়ের সাথে অনুরোধ করব, আমাদের কয়েকজন বোন আছেন আজকের এই অনুষ্ঠানের পার্টিসিপ্যান্টস, গেস্ট, আপনাদেরকেও কোর্ডিয়ালি ইনভাইট করব স্টেজে আসবার জন্য, প্লিজ। আমরা আমাদের বোনদের জন্য নিচের লাইনের এক পাশে একটু জায়গা রাখবো। আমাদের যে কয়জন ফিমেল গেস্ট আজকে অংশগ্রহণ করেছেন একেবারে সাইলেন্টলি, ওনাদেরকে আমরা একটু জায়গা করে দেব, যাতে করে ওনাদেরকে আমরা এই ফটো ফ্রেমের বন্ধনে আবদ্ধ করে রাখতে পারি। ওকে, আমরা ফটোগ্রাফারসদেরকে বলবো একটু আমাদেরকে সুযোগ দেওয়ার জন্য। আমরা আমাদের বোনদের জন্য চাচ্ছি সামনে একটু আসনের ব্যবস্থা করে দিতে। আমাদেরকে একটু হেল্প করুন প্লিজ। আমাদের বোন যারা আছেন কাইন্ডলি আপনারা সামনে চলে আসুন। You will be given preference. আপনারা আজকে সারাদিন অংশগ্রহণ করেছেন, কোনো কথা ছিল না আপনাদের মুখে, আমরা ভেরি সরি আপনাদেরকে ফ্লোর দিতে পারিনি। ওই পাশে দিন। ইনশাআল্লাহ তাআলা। আমাদের এখানে অনেক ডিস্টিংগুইশড গেস্ট ছিলেন, ইউনিভার্সিটির প্রফেসর, রেজিস্ট্রার। আমরা খুবই দুঃখিত আপনাদেরকে সময় দিতে পারিনি, আপনাদের মোস্ট ভ্যালুয়েবল স্পিচ আমরা নিতে পারিনি, এই জন্য আমরা অপারগতা প্রকাশ করছি, পাশাপাশি আমরা ক্ষমা চাচ্ছি। এখানে জি, আইএফএ কনসালটেন্সি এবং আদালের যারা আছেন তারাও আপনারা আসুন, একটু সামনে জায়গা আছে, আপনারা অবস্থান নিন প্লিজ। আমাদের স্পন্সর প্রতিষ্ঠান যারা আছেন আপনাদের জন্য সম্মাননা ক্রেস্ট আছে, সময়ের সংক্ষিপ্ততার কারণে ইনস্ট্যান্টলি আমরা দিতে পারিনি। ইনশাআল্লাহ তাআলা আমাদের এই ফটোগ্রাফি সেশনের পরে আপনারা সেটা নিয়ে যাবেন মেহেরবানি করে। একটু আমাদের আইএফএ কনসালটেন্সির কো-ফাউন্ডার ডক্টর মুফতি ইউসুফ সুলতান এবং মুফতি আব্দুল্লাহ মাসুম আপনাদেরকে একটু মিড পয়েন্টে গিয়ে দাঁড়ানোর জন্য রিকোয়েস্ট করা হচ্ছে, প্লিজ। ঠিক আছে, ঠিক আছে। আক্রমাকুমুল্লাহ, আদল অ্যাডভাইজারি এবং আইএফএ কনসালটেন্সি আপনারা একটু ওয়েট করুন, আপনাদের জন্য আলাদা কিছু ফটোগ্রাফি সেশন হবে প্লিজ। Distinguished guests, we have reached the conclude of day 1 of Bangladesh Islamic Summit Finance Summit 2025. What a remarkable day it has been, rich with insights, commitments, and collaborative spirit. Tomorrow, we, inshallah ta'ala, will continue with the AAOIFI Capacity Building Week, technical workshops, and professional sessions that will equip participants and practitioners with the tools and knowledge to implement what we have discussed today, inshallah. Is here anyone from Community Bank, our sponsor? Dear Hall,